The title isn't clickbait. I actually left my house today. I left my sacred dojo of Greece today for the first time in a few months, and I hated it. It was an absolute fucking disaster. It's like when the groundhog pops out of his hole and sees his shadow signaling a couple more weeks of winter. That's what it was like for me. I came out of my little hole here and I saw something far more terrifying than a shadow, which means a couple more months of me staying inside. Now let me clarify, when I say first time leaving my house, I mean first time going somewhere. Like, I've stepped outside into my backyard with the dogs to take them out and shit, so I've been readjusted to the sun, kind of, so the sun and I are no longer enemies. It took like a month of work just to get to that point though. Like, I didn't go outside at all, even the backyard, for a full month just because I'm a bit of a hypochondriac and I wasn't entirely convinced I could trust the air outside. Could have virus particles in it, and I just wasn't taking the chance. But after a month, I did wander outside, and I swear to God, I thought I was going to die of vitamin D overdose. I felt like it was about to be that scene from Indiana Jones when they open the Ark of the Covenant and everyone's skin is melting off of their fucking bones. That's what it felt like first time seeing the sun. But since then, I've become reacclimated to it, so the sun and I are no longer enemies. So going somewhere today, the sun wasn't the problem. It was just everything else about the adventure here. So my journey wasn't like a noble expedition or anything. I didn't leave my house to go put out a fire nearby or save a kitten from a tree. The reason I left my house was to go to a Walmart. And the reason I was going to a Walmart is because I wanted to look at their as seen on TV products, because I was hoping I could find some Nick Bolton originals like the tack shaver, the tack lantern, and the tack glasses, and really put them to the test. I just kind of had that itch to try out more as seen on TV products because it's been a while since I've done that, and I knew Walmart carried them. And you know, for as seen on TV products, I decided, you know what? It's worth the risk. I'll make this journey for this. Just like Moses, I decided I was going to climb this mountain and get the 10 Commandments and bring them back down for the people to enjoy. But instead of 10 Commandments, what I was getting from the top of the mountain was tactical shaving devices and tactical glasses and shit. So not quite as cool as 10 Commandments, but still something that I felt was very important. And now, I decided to look it up. The last time I even started my car was March 15th, and I know that because the last time I left my house to go somewhere was March 15th to go see the movie The Hunt. And from then until today, my car hadn't been started a single time. It's gotten no exercise, shit's getting out of shape, and it just overall not feeling very well. I'm actually surprised it even started today at all. It's just been waiting for over 2 months now just for any amount of action that wasn't coming. And then today I said, you know what, you're off the bench, let's get you in the starting lineup, and they answered the call. My car started up with no problems, I threw on my mask, and I was ready to rumble. The trip to Walmart was pretty odd because there were so many cars on the road. I was led to believe that it was going to be like a ghost town if I went outside, like fucking going through Chernobyl, but that wasn't the case. The traffic was the same as I remembered it so long ago the last time I ventured outside. So I feel like nothing has really changed outside in society except for me not being a part of it anymore, which made me feel kind of like an outcast, like that kid that sits alone at the middle school lunch table. But that was the first thing I noticed. When I actually got to Walmart, things were very different there. They had it like caution taped off as if it was a crime scene with a chalk outline on the ground from a murder that happened over Yu-Gi-Oh cards or something. It looked really intense and intimidating. They had like 5 kiosks outside. I don't know what the little stands were for. I didn't want to have any like actual close contact with a human being. I wanted to avoid my own species as much as possible, so I didn't investigate. I really can't imagine. Maybe they were selling like fucking lollipops or something, or maybe it was the Girl Scouts parents or some shit selling, I don't know. But there was a bunch of little kiosks outside that I have no idea what purpose they served. Almost everyone was wearing a mask, which made me feel like I was back in my college freshman year going to a rave where everyone used to wear these masks with little skulls on them. And there's also just a really good handful of people that weren't wearing a mask, which I found odd because the people that weren't wearing a mask were the people that I felt really should, or most likely at least would consider, because they were all predominantly older people, and then a couple people that looked like they were on some kind of alcoholic binge and like stumbling over themselves. So I felt like the people that weren't wearing a mask were the people that really should have at least thought about it, but I mean, I'm not their parents. They can make their own decisions. I just thought that was something interesting. It was when I finally got into the Walmart where things really started to go south for this whole adventure here that I'd chosen to go on. So going inside is when things really opened up. I immediately made my way to the as seen on TV products stand, I suppose, and I didn't find any tack devices. Not a single Nick Bolton certified tactical tool. And I searched multiple times. I even went to the kids department. Not that I think Nick Bolton's tactical devices should be in the kids department, because These are tactical tools for tactical guys. They aren't children's toys. They're extremely dangerous for tactical situations. I mean, I swear to God, Nick Bolton's probably going to be selling tactical C4 just in case. So they shouldn't be in the kids department, but I wanted to make sure no stone was left unturned. I wanted to make sure that I checked everywhere thoroughly to find Nick Bolton's tactical devices. And it was when I went to the kids department that I saw my first little skirmish. There was two mothers, neither of which were wearing a mask, and they were getting into it a little bit. There was a verbal argument, which I love to hear. I do love public freakouts, and I kind of had an expectation going out today that there was going to be something like that just because everything I've seen online from it. And I was lucky enough to at least kind of encounter one. But in my head, it was a much bigger deal than it was. In reality, they were just kind of arguing about something. I don't know what. I don't know if they knew each other, but they were arguing. Maybe they were arguing about not being able to find Nick Bolton's devices. I have no idea. But since we were in the same aisle, I was right next to it. And to me, I was starting to panic. Like, my blood pressure was starting to skyrocket because I was like, fuck. They're arguing, there's going to be saliva flying all over the place. What if one of them's sick? Now I've put myself in between a bullet and a target because we're sharing the same row. So in my head, I'm hearing this argument and I'm just picturing like fight night, like in a boxing match, you know, in the movies where it's like a slow motion punch and their head turns and the sweat's flying all over the audience like it's SeaWorld in the splash zone. That's what I was picturing. So I was hurrying up my investigation because I started panicking, worried about this invisible enemy that could be coming my way down the aisle. And so I got the fuck out of there. I went back to the as seen on TV stand. I didn't see anything, so eventually I just said it's not here and I got out. So as I left the glorious Walmart limp-dicked and sad, I walked back to my car, and that's when the actual fucking disaster of the day happened. I got fucking swarmed. Well, swarmed is an exaggeration. There was a single wasp that tracked me from the Walmart to my car. It was like fucking stalking me, waiting to make a move on my wallet. So this wasp fucking attacked me when I was about to get in the car, and when I say attacked, it landed on my head and freaked the shit out of me. So I was freaking out, like slapping at my head, and then I accidentally slapped my own fucking mask off onto the goddamn ground, which now that's ruined. I can't ever touch that again, so I left that there. And I'm fucking battling this fucking wasp, getting into my car. Now I'm exposed to the outside elements. I've lost my radiation suit because my mask is on the ground. This wasp will not leave me the fuck alone. I can't get my car open because I keep fucking fumbling the unlock on my keys. So it was just a true upsetting time that made me feel like I had just been brutalized. The wasp must have sensed my weakness and it was shaking me down for my lunch money at the car. It was fucking mugging me right there in the Walmart parking lot. And that's when it really set in on me, like, this must have been a sign. Like, Charlie, you shouldn't be outside yet. Give it a little more time to marinate and then you can go outside later. This is me telling you, stay inside for now. And I took that at face value, so I will be staying inside again at least for a couple more weeks or something, because that wasp attack that fucking compromised my safety. That was enough for me to say, all right, that's probably enough. That's probably my one journey for the next month or so. So I'm back inside, and I just wanted to share with you my experience of my first time going back outside into society. And yeah, what a remarkable experience it was. I got nothing in return for it other than traumatized by a wasp. I really fucking hate wasps, always have. Wasps really suck ass, so fuck wasps. And yeah, that's about it. So yeah, I wasn't always this sex god you see before you, the apex of raw sexual energy. In fact, I actually came into this world a virgin. I was born with virginity. My father, he wasn't a virgin, and yet, embarrassingly, I was. And it stayed that way for 19 years, until on the spring break of my 19th year in this plane of existence, it all changed when my wiener nation landed on the shores of a vagina nation. Consensually, of course. It was an invite for the wiener nation to make landfall. At 2013 years after the death of Christ, I had finally lost my virginity. Like a crab shedding its shell, I molted. But what did I do up until that point? Well, I've already shared with you a little bit of my freshman year of college where I pretended to be a mysterious anime character, but this arc doesn't stop there. I used to think it was cool and unique to be a virgin in college, so I used to wear it like a fucking Boy Scouts badge of honor. You know, I would talk about my virginity to any female that made the mistake of listening. It was one of the first things I'd do. I'd basically fucking shake a hand and say, I'm a virgin. You're shaking a virgin's hand, which is probably the grossest hand you could ever shake. Because you know that shit is crusty. If these hands could talk, well, if this hand could talk, the stories it would tell you. So, but anyway, I thought because everyone else wasn't a virgin in college, at least none of my friends were, I was one of the I was the last one to lose their virginity in my group of friends, I thought it'd make me stand out. I thought it'd be like, wow, that guy's a virgin? Holy shit. I didn't even know this existed in this college anymore. Damn, that's exotic. I gotta get in there. It wasn't the case. In fact, it was just super creepy. But I wouldn't listen to my friends. One of my friends sat me down as like a fucking intervention. He was like, Charlie, look, you gotta stop telling people you're a virgin. It's weird and it's not gonna work. But I didn't believe him. I thought he was working with like the Illuminati trying to restrict my power. But today I look back on that and I see he was a fucking saint. He knew what I didn't. How creepy that was. I was like a fucking vegan. I wouldn't shut the fuck up about being a virgin. Like in parties and shit, if I'd been drinking, you know the virginity talk was coming. I was like a parent giving the birds and the bees talk to their children. And God help the poor women that talked to me when I was drunk and talking about virginity, because sometimes I'd talk about it in different accents. Sometimes I'd be an Irish virgin, other times a Russian virgin. I thought it would be something different and cool. And I acted like I was proud of it. You know, I've held on to my virginity this long. Fuck yeah, baby, this one's for Jesus Christ up there. But I wasn't proud of it, and I knew Jesus wasn't proud of my virginity either, nor my attempt to spit the game at the parties by talking about virginity. That was never going to work. But it didn't stop me. You see, this all took place around the time that I got my main lead acting role in the Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1. I've already shared that story with you. So when I used to meet these women at parties and shit, I would have this 1-2 combo. Hey, I'm in the Hunger Games, and I'm a virgin. That's a fucking irresistible man right there. That right there is a recipe for an Adonis. And let me tell you what, that didn't help very much. But I used to have the Mockingjay trailer on my phone, and I'd show the trailer if they were unfamiliar and just pretend that I was in it, and I wouldn't go back to show them. I'd just be like, oh, there I am. Oh, I was quick, you missed it. I must have tried this combination move 100 times. Like a Japanese bladesmith, I'd keep folding it over, smashing it down, making it sharper, better, refining it, until finally it worked one time. I met a girl at a party, we talked, we made out, exchanged numbers, and we're going to get together for a date. Date comes around and you can already guess the conversational topics. Hey, what's your major? Where are you from? Are you a virgin? No? Why not? I am. Bang. Game over. There's no coming back from that kind of shit. I don't know why the fuck I just felt this compulsive desire to constantly talk about it. It's really not like it was a crowning achievement, and not even to me. I constantly wanted to lose my virginity, and yet I'd constantly hype it up like it was the best part of me. It's just wild shit, and you know, it taught me a hard lesson. That's pretty much when I learned the most important lesson. Stop bragging about virginity. This desire to be unique between being an anime character in college, the fucking mysterious anime character, to being a virgin fucking evangelist constantly preaching the good word of virginity. This desire to be unique really fucked me and hindered me very much in my early formative college years. Also, during this time I had a friend that was a female. I very much liked her. We were friends for like a year. The feelings weren't mutual. I was very into her. She had none of those same feelings for me, but it didn't stop me from telling her that I was saving my virginity for her. How noble. They say chivalry's dead, but yeah, I used to tell her that my virginity is going to be hers for the taking. That had to be the last fucking thing on her Christmas list every goddamn year. It must have been the scariest and most alarming thing someone could tell you like that. And it wasn't just like a 1 or 2 time fluke thing where I mentioned that by accident. No, I told her that shit like all the time. If we texted, it'd be like a lullaby for me. You know, I'm going to bed now. Do you want to kiss my virginity to sleep with your pussy lips? No? Alright, just keep in mind I'm a virgin when you go to sleep tonight. Have dreams about my virginity. It's something I mention frequently because I really thought, in my fucking delusion, that being a virgin and being unique like that was cool and not weird. You know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe nowadays things have changed and being a virgin's the coolest goddamn thing in the world next to pissing in your pants. But back then it certainly wasn't, and definitely not my approach of mentioning it all the fucking time. I think you could be the coolest man in the world, but if you keep mentioning the same shit over and over again, it's gonna make you look like a fucking weirdo. Actually, let me hit you with a fun trivia fact for when you play Critical Jeopardy with your family. The girl I'm talking about in this story here is actually the reason I kept the beard. You see, for the Hunger Games role I got, they asked that you grow out your facial hair, which I'd never even considered doing before. I'd always been clean-shaven. I looked like an 8th grader in debate club. But when I grew it out for that role, she said it looked good, so I kept it, and I never looked back. And now if I shaved it, I'm sure I'd look like a bag of assholes collided with another bag of assholes. So yeah, I guess gloating about virginity wasn't all bad. But trust me, it was all bad. If there's any lesson to take away here from my experience for all of you watching, it would be Don't use like a defining characteristic and shove it down people's throats. Don't try and force people into thinking you are special or unique. Just be yourself, and if they view you as special or unique, great. If they don't, who gives a shit? The two that come to mind right away are vegan and atheist, where people constantly mention those two things if they're associated with that. At least that's the big meme on the internet, and I've only seen it in real life a couple of times, so I don't know how prevalent that is. But just going around and saying things like, I'm a vegan, I'm an atheist, I'm a virgin, and constantly bringing those things up and calling attention to it just makes people not want to be around you. It's a pretty toxic social environment when you're just constantly talking about what you think makes you unique and special. That would be kind of the takeaway from this virginity bragging story, I'd say. Yeah, that's about it. See ya. Yeah, that title's not clickbait. In fact, it's underselling it. We're not just making a porno. We're making like the Homer's Odyssey of porn. The fucking Citizen's Kane of adult films. Throw out everything you think you know about fucking, because we're reinventing what it even means. So, to give you a little overview, I've talked about it during the streams at twitch.tv/Moistcritikal. A couple months ago, I got approached by a massive porn company about writing a full-length, massive budget porn production for them. Of course, this offer piqued my interest. However, there's a lot of bad things that go on in the porn industry for some of these companies, a lot of sketchy shit, especially when it comes to the treatment of some of the performers, and I wanted to ensure that this company didn't have any of those problems, so I did some extensive research on the company, and from everything I've found, the company just has a great reputation. The performers love to work with the company. No one's ever had anything negative to say about an experience they've had while working with them, and they're just a well-respected company in the field. It also has multiple arms, all of which are dedicated to improving the porn norms and conditions for a lot of the performers, so the company is actively out there trying to improve the atmosphere and perception of porn. So I felt, given this track record, they've earned a script from Genghis Swan. So let me make it clear, we are only writing this show for them. We have it written as 4 episodes, but we're only writing it. We're not actually going to be on set directing or anything like that. But it is myself, Jackson, Matt, and Danny working on this. We've pretty much finished the script, and we've submitted the first episode, which has been approved. They enjoyed it. But due to coronavirus, even the porn industry is locked down. So there truly is no industry that's unaffected by coronavirus. So I don't know when it's going to get made, if it's even going to get made this year or anything. So I thought it'd be fun just to show you the first writing session Jackson and I had while working on this. It's important to note, we're not using any of the ideas you see here, and it's going to be pretty obvious why, because they're pretty shit ideas. But I thought it'd be fun just to give you a little taste of what's cooking up in the laboratory over here. Writer's Room, February 3rd, 2020. First session of the Creative Geniuses.
Whoa. Hey.
I will say right off the bat, the working title of The Fucking at Rock Hard Manor, I think might be a bit too on the nose. I'm thinking something a little more artsy. I think we need to be thinking James Bond, you know, like condoms are forever, or fuck another day, you know?
The Fucking at Rock Hard Manor is great, like, wordplay on the genre, though. It's like the murder at Mount.
It's not wordplay by replacing murder with fucking.
That is genuinely what wordplay is.
Well, yeah, for like a 4th grade English class, perhaps.
It's so good.
We can do better.
Rock Hard Manor is. Well, all right. Well, what?
The title is extremely important, Jackson. Think about Deep Throat. What if it wasn't called Deep Throat? What if it was just called Gagging on a Dick? It wouldn't have been nearly as impactful. You need a good title.
What's that one that's on Murder on the Orient Express? That's
Mm-hmm.
the exact same title that I've got.
We could call it, sticking in this vein, we could call it The Murder of Cats. And you see what it's getting at? Pussy. You get it?
That's so awful. That is downright awful. No one's gonna click on a video called The Murder of Cats. What is wrong with you sociopath?
We'll keep that one on ice. We'll come back to it. So this is Detective Mike Mitchell, a middle-aged Caucasian male ace detective who leaves no stone unturned, disgraced from the force after he fucked the mayor's daughter after solving the case of her husband's death. That might be kind of tough. I still think we need a supernatural element where, like...
What?
Yeah, like maybe they use the used condom on the floor, and at the end they like use it like an elixir and pour it into the dead man's mouth and it brings him back, or like an orgy seance brings him back to life.
I do like that. I really like the idea of bringing back Shock Rockhard as a character.
We should have like a private military contract group in here somewhere, like hunting Mitchell. But ultimately, what is the goal? What does Shock Rockhard want?
Well, that's yeah. Now we can't do the inheritance thing because obviously he's still alive in this scenario. So what does he want?
I really think it should all just be like a giant ploy to see who was cheating on him or something.
But they're all cheating on him. That would imply that he's in a relationship with all of them if they were to cheat on him. Even old Colonel Matthew Gillespie, his old wartime buddy, has been cheating on him.
That wouldn't make any sense. Why would Colonel Matthew Gillespie be cheating on him? Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a cop out, but I think it might work a little bit better. Like maybe we go scary stories to tell in the dark style, where like the manor is placed upon an Indian burial ground, and they've been all stricken with a curse, and it's all like the curse revolves around sex in some way. So Shock Rockhard has succumbed to the curse, and then Mike Mitchell's piecing everything together.
To sex, like what kind of clue do you leave behind? Usually in sex, it's only ever really condoms. So would there just be condoms left around in each room? And Detective Mitchell has like a force power where he touches the condom and he has a force vision of the fucking.
That's not a bad idea. I like that. Yeah. His eyes roll into the back of his head. Camera pans into his skull. Maybe we could do something with Dr. Zachariah Good Sensation. A middle-aged to explain for the behind the scenes. Dr. Zachariah Good Sensation is a middle-aged scientist on the verge of a scientific breakthrough. He has been testing a hypothesis that ensures explosive female orgasms. Perhaps this event was the perfect place to test his theory. Or perhaps he's being framed by someone who wishes to discredit his work. Only time in that used condom.
I don't remember writing any of this at all. I realized though, or perhaps he's being framed by someone who wishes to discredit his work. How does that discredit his work leaving behind a condom? His whole work is based around orgasms and they leave behind a condom that proves.
Maybe it's an empty condom, so there was no fluid.
That is perfect. Oh, that could be a whole like. Well, Detective Mike Mitchell examines the condom and realizes that there's no cum on it.
A real crack shot. I think we're all set on the idea that he gets the mysterious envelope, he takes the job, he comes to Rockhard Manor, power's gone out, and a mysterious condom is on the floor. I think that is a strong start. Shock Rockvein has an open casket, so we can see Shock the whole... Perhaps maybe not. Maybe... I don't know. I still like kind of one of the ideas I tossed around where Mike Mitchell is Shock Rockhard. And that could be like a big gotcha to the audience.
But it just doesn't make sense because all of these characters know Shock Rockhard, so they would recognize him.
He could be wearing a disguise, or perhaps like he disfigured his face on purpose, or like a polyjuice potion. So they're at the will reading. Shock Rockhard's open casket. Mike Mitchell has
open. All right. Open casket, but only from the cock down. How about that? It's just the bottom half is open. We never see who's in the top half.
It's a great idea.
It's of no benefit, but I like it.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Yeah, just an open cock casket. Write that down. Yeah, that's going to be important.
It's how he would want to be remembered.
Yeah, I think it might be... What if we just give Mike Mitchell superpowers?
When he's erect. He has to have a boner to be able to have that kind of power, so Melanie's always kind of following him around and...
Ooh, that's it. Yeah, that's a really good idea. Like, it has an activation cost. Like, he can see the events of things he touches, but only when he's erect. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so Melanie Grimes understands that. She's the one. He's never had these visions before. It's only here, and she knows how to activate it. so that's how we think.
Well, it could be well known because then everyone could fuck him. Like, I need you to see the past of my 1914 Budweiser can, says Madame Giselle Rockhard. He says, ma'am, you know I can't do that unless I'm properly stimulated. And then they fuck. And
yes, I love it.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then as he's climaxing, Giselle Rockhard tosses the Budweiser can, he catches it, and then we get a vision. Yeah, so for Miss Penny Traction, a middle-aged French teacher with deep sexual fantasies, she was the secret lover of Madame Tootie Rockhard's deceased husband.
I think for like 5 minutes, I had Giselle Rockhard's name as Tootie for some reason. It's just the first name that jumped to my head, but I changed it. Do you prefer Tootie or Giselle?
I like Tootie a lot.
Alright, well, it's Tootie now. But then Mike goes around the entire house fucking everyone to see the vision. So,
okay, how about this? In the will, as they're reading the will, like they get through the whole thing, and he very fairly divides his entire fortune among everyone present, but only on the condition that they haven't had sex on the night of his funeral. And that's why that condom is so shocking.
maybe it's based around Colonel Gillespie somehow. We can fit him in here. He's Shock Rockhard's trying to get the word out that war crimes were committed by Matthew Gillespie. Oh my god. An hour and our only notes have been DNA test reveals ancestry between Shock Rockhard and Detective Mitchell. Indian burial ground. Curse revolves around sex. Shock Rockhard succumbs to the curse. Casket is open from cock down. Mike Mitchell can only see visions if he is hard. How do we fucking tie this all together?
It's like a Marvel comic. Maybe we just take one of these characters. I think we have a lot of potential with Dr. Zachariah Good Sensation. Maybe we make him set up as like the Thanos of our universe. So you have all of these characters getting together, and they're going to stop Zachariah Good Sensation's technology because it will replace men.
Oh, I like that. It's like the Avengers of fucking.
Mm-hmm.
The lights go off. It's a normal party. Shock Rockhard's there, all happy and alive. The lights go off, and when the lights come back on, he's on the ground covered in cum. He's been fucked. He's comatose. Detective Mike Mitchell has to come and figure out who fucked him to almost death.
Yeah, the lights are off. You just hear like this euphoric moan and a collapse.
He's fine 1 second, the lights go out. And when it comes back on, this old man's been fucked into a coma on the floor.
A big smile on his face.
Yeah.
No, I like the idea of he was already on his way to the party because he had gotten a mysterious envelope about it. Like, I'm gonna fuck Shock Rockhard.
Wait, he's gonna fuck him?
No, like the envelope. That's what the message said.
Alright, so the letter said, I'm gonna fuck Shock Rockhard and you need to find out who I am? Oh no, it's Shock Rockhard. It's Shock Rockhard's letter to him saying, oh, I'm probably going to be fucked. I need help figuring out who's trying to fuck me.
It's been a little while since I've told this story, so go ahead and hop on my lap here by the fireplace and I'll tell you a tale. As is common with most of my stories I've told on the channel, this takes place during the period of my life where I thought it was cool to be a mysterious anime character. This was like my early years of college. As you can probably imagine, my ability to socialize during this time was absolutely pathetic. Having a conversation with a magic 8-ball would have been more fun and engaging than talking to me back then. Those poor souls that talked to me back then probably instantly regretted it, because having a conversation with old Charlie was like talking to Alexa if she was overdosing on Xanax. It was rough. Why is this important though? Because this is setting the stage for one story I haven't told yet. I've told so many stories when it comes to all of the fucking weird and creepy interactions I've had with women. All my fault, of course, just because I was so unbelievably socially inept. Like, it's hard to put into words how bad I was at recognizing social cues and how to be, like, acceptable in society. I fucking bought one of those fake cigarettes one time. You know that shit that kids would buy from Spencer's when they were like 12? I bought one of those things when I was 18 because I thought it looked cool and I hated real cigarettes. You know how fucking sad that is? I'm surprised I didn't buy one of those colorful propeller hats and started spinning it to try and look cool or something. It was rough. So what I'm saying is, socially, I was the worst thing you could fucking imagine. But it didn't stop me from trying to have conversations with women. I tried to fake confidence, fake it to make it, and all of that shit. And today's story will be in that ballpark. So this story takes place in a location where all good social interactions take place, at Gamestop. So let me take you back to the past when my social interactions sucked ass. This is Gamestop 2012, 2011, somewhere in that ballpark. I was, of course, Virgin Boy Charlie, if you can even believe that. Some say I lost my virginity before my dad, but the truth is, I was actually a virgin, embarrassingly enough. And I was doing what all virgins did, using Reddit for some advice. And Reddit is one of the worst places when it comes to seduction and just general advice when it comes to human interaction, because it's the blind leading the blind. The people giving that advice, they have likely never talked to a human being before. They're probably getting all of their social cues the same place I was. Fucking anime. So I was using anime and r/relationship or something. I don't remember what subreddit. And these two things were clashing, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take both of these, do like a little unholy fusion dance, and become this ultra Chad, the product of great advice and great animation. And I was going to channel this and show that, I'm becoming more confident in myself by flirting with girls in public. And I chose my first rodeo to be at GameStop. Before going to GameStop, I had decided that I was going to march into GameStop, right up to the counter to the girl that worked there and call her beautiful right to her face. I was going to look her in the eyes. I was going to say, ma'am, you are fucking beautiful. You are gorgeous. I don't know what I expected to happen next because I didn't have a follow-up. Maybe I was fantasizing like one of those dream scenes where all of a sudden, like an anime, the girl blushes and then she calls out her 3 twin sisters or something. And they all fall in love with me. I don't know. But that was my game plan. And I was hyping myself up. I was like a football player in the locker room before the championship game, headbutting lockers. I put on a necklace, and I never wear a necklace. I found like this old gold necklace from probably when I was a kid, but my neck is still the same size as a kid's, so it still fit. I spiked my hair up real well, fucking drowned it in gel, and I mean drowned it in gel. I looked like a freshly born baby covered in amniotic fluid up there, and I felt like $1,000,000. Today was the day I was going to say to a girl, she is beautiful. So I hop into my Batmobile and I cruise on over to GameStop. I get to the door, I open it, and it's like everything else just melted around me. Time froze, and there she was, behind the desk, the only female employee at this particular GameStop, and she looked miserable. Probably because she's working at a fucking GameStop, but I was gonna make her day better by being the only man in GameStop history with the confidence to say that she was beautiful. I'm sure she doesn't hear that every day from other socially inept fucking slime balls. So I was going to be the first, the trendsetter. Truly a pioneer. So I meandered around a little bit, just making sure I was building up enough confidence, going over the lines in my head. The line I was going to use was when she was done ringing me up, I was going to say, "Thank you, beautiful," and then wait to see her response, see what she says to this, hoping that she wouldn't call the police or have security come tackle me. So I finally pick out a game, some used game I'm sure, because I was big into used games for a long time. I slam that shit on the counter because I'm ready. She starts by asking me a couple questions. Am I a member of GameStop Power Plus Ultra program? Well, no, I'm not. She's going off script. I wasn't accounting for this. It's freeform now. The dialogue has been all fucked up. I'm getting a little jumbled in my head. I'm getting nervous. I wasn't expecting to be interrogated by her today. I'm not a member of this GameStop program. Would I like to be? Well, shit, would it help my chances with you? I don't know. I'm going through all kinds of scenarios in my head. It's like a visual novel. There's a bunch of different branching paths I could choose from. I'm panicking. I'm breaking down a bit. My composure is starting to falter. There's sweat on my brow and a tickle in my sack. I was not prepared for this at all. She then asked me, do I want my receipt? Another question I wasn't anticipating. Do I say, "Thank you, beautiful"? Now, no, that wouldn't make sense because she asked me a question. I can't just respond with I have to answer the question. Everything's all falling apart at once. It's like Salvador Dali's painting where the clocks are melting. I'm running out of time. I don't know when to say this line. And no, I don't really want this receipt. What am I going to do? Wipe my ass with it? I paid $3 for some garbage used game. I tell her, no, thank you. You keep the receipt. And that's when she says it. A sentence that could dampen the pants of any man, even the strongest men. She says, "Thank you for shopping at Gamestop." I freeze. I don't know how to respond. I stand there for what feels like hours, looking at the ground, wondering, is now the time? And then I decide I muster the courage within myself, the strength to go forward. I say, "Thank you, beautiful." I'm still looking at the ground when I say this, because I haven't earned the right to look my GameStop queen in the eyes yet. And then I do what any sane man would do. I ran away. I fucking jogged away. Before she could even actually respond, I started jogging away with the bag in my hand like I just stole the game from GameStop. But I did hear her say, "Oh." I know for a fact she said "oh" as I turned my back to run away. I ran all the way to my car, hearing that "oh" in my head the entire way there, got in, slammed the door, and I thought to myself, Charlie, you did it. We just made that employee extremely uncomfortable, and man, do I feel like shit about it. It was a good lesson to learn. That was probably already the 5th or 6th time that lady had been hit on that day by fucking weirdos like me. She probably just up and quit that day. That was probably the last straw right there. I don't know, because I never went back. I was just so goddamn embarrassed about this whole thing, but I do imagine she quit that day. But yeah, I tell you this story in the hopes that people will learn from it. Don't make the same mistakes I did. Don't be a fucking weirdo, and don't, yeah, that's basically it, really. That's about it. So yeah. Earlier this year, I made that video talking about how Jackson, Danny, Matt, and I were going to be writing a full-fledged porn production for a very well-known company in the industry. It was going to be a very expensive budget from the company, and it was going to be an episodic release. In total, we made a runtime of something that would go right around 4 hours, so it was basically the fucking Lord of the Rings of porn. And we created an actual masterpiece. If you took all of the porn out of our porno, it would still be an American classic, a really fucking great movie. But unfortunately, we did all of that before the pandemic hit and shut everything down, fucked everyone in the ass. So they never actually made our porn series. And I thought it'd just be a real waste to let this sacred script go into obscurity and forgotten, lost to the tides of time. So I thought it'd be fun to at least share some of episode 1 with all of you. I don't want to give away any of the big twists or developments in the universe we've created, because who knows, maybe we shop the script around and it lands a home on Amazon Prime as Rian Johnson's Knives Out sequel. So just in case, to err on the side of caution, I'm only going to share with you the main points in some of the dialogue so you can see where we were going and what we're setting up, but I'm not going to reveal any of the big shit to you. You're just going to have to sit there and salivate waiting to see if this will ever be finished. So, to break it down in a nutshell, it's called The Fucking at Rock Hard Manor. For what it's worth, I thought that title was way too aggressive. It comes out raw, no rubber right away. I just didn't really like the title of it too much, but that I was overruled by the group, so that's the title, The Fucking at Rock Hard Manor. And it is a murder mystery thriller pants filler. So it's basically just think of Knives Out. I think that's a really good example right away. So as you can likely imagine, the story takes place in Rock Hard Manor, where Shock Rockhard has called together his closest friends and business partners to celebrate the creation of the Good Sensation Mark I. The Good Sensation Mark I device was created by none other than the esteemed inventor, Dr. Zachariah Good Sensation. The Good Sensation Mark I is basically a ray gun that cures PTSD. Well, actually, think of it less of a ray gun and more like the microwave emitter from Batman Begins that fucking vaporizes all the water in Gotham. It's that, but it cures PTSD. Now, if I may, I'd like to read you some dialogue from Dr. Zachariah Good Sensation. This is when he's trying to flirt with some of the women attending this celebration. This is unlike anything you've ever seen before, I guarantee it. You don't understand. How could you, though? It's utterly ridiculous to think you could. I myself have been trapped in my lab for 3 years trying to understand it, held hostage by my own hubris, crafted from the finest polymers I could get my hands on thanks to Shock's financing. Ah, yes, such a delicate balance of madness and genius. You know, girls, if I had made even one miscalculation in the creation of this, I may have very well lost my life. And as you can likely imagine, the women were beyond impressed, sought in panties immediately. However, not too long after this interaction, something goes awry, as is standard in murder mysteries. So Shock Rock Hard is making an announcement, thanking everyone for being there to celebrate this, because he's very happy. Shock Rock Hard, as you well know, he's one of the most decorated veterans in the entire history of the American Armed Forces, and he unfortunately suffers from PTSD. So he had Dr. Zacharias at Good Sensation working on a device to help alleviate his troubles, as well as his other comrades. Shock Rockhard and his wife Tootie Rockhard are at the top of their staircase making this announcement when they ask all the attendees to raise their glass in a toast. However, the lights turn off. A loud, euphoric moan is heard, followed by the sound of a body tumbling down the stairs. It sounds like 10 wet potatoes all getting pushed down a staircase at once. The lights turn back on, and everyone horrified as they see Shock Rockhard's lifeless body at the base of the staircase. Who could have murdered Shock Rockhard? He had no enemies. He was loved by all. The lights were only off for a matter of seconds, and there's no visible wounds on Shock Rockhard's body, other than, of course, a couple of bruises and scrapes from tumbling down the stairs, but not enough to kill a man, and they happened after the moan. A very interesting and peculiar death. Madame Tootie Rockhard goes to check for a pulse. She realizes there's no pulse. He is pronounced dead at the scene. Then, as everyone is grieving, mourning, the doors kick in. They fly open, and smoke pours in, flooding the foyer. A shadowy figure moves through the smoke, and loud gasps and even a scream are heard from the general vicinity of the audience. And as the smoke clears, a grizzled detective emerges. It's Detective Mike Mitchell. Now, before I get into Mike Mitchell, I'd like to tell you where that name comes from. Mike Mitchell is the name of a character a buddy of mine played in a really low-budget piece of shit movie. He played a character named Detective Mike Mitchell, so I thought it'd be really cool just kind of to put him in here as an homage to that and keep that legacy of Mike Mitchell alive. So Detective Mike Mitchell comes in, and he immediately takes control of the scene. Mike Mitchell says, "No need to scream, ladies and gentlemen. I've heard it all before." He takes one last puff from his cigar before flicking it off to the side. Mike Mitchell slowly approaches the scene. Madame Tootie Rockhard is still face down on Shock's chest. Mike Mitchell extends his condolences. "You must be the wife of the deceased. You have my sincerest condolences, madame, but right now, you're in my crime scene." Tootie Rockhard replies, "Crime scene? What do you mean?" Mike Mitchell, "It's quite simple, really. I could see it immediately. A fall from such a height would not have killed anyone, but the evidence is on his face. A smile. Why? If he had truly died from falling, there would be no smile. No. He was already dead, madame." It would be at this point the audience is made more aware of Shock Rockhard's face, and they see the biggest smile they've ever... It's at this point the audience gets a very clear view of Shock's face. There is a massive smile on it that looks like a kid on Christmas Day, smiling from ear to ear, looking like a 9-year-old boy that just went to Disney World for the first time. Magic in his eyes, little stars in his eyes. He looks like the happiest motherfucker on the entire goddamn planet. But now that's a bit interesting, isn't it? You see, most people at the Rock Hard Manor that night assumed that he slipped and fell when the lights went off, but if that was the case, why would he be smiling? There'd be panic washing over his face, not a big smile. So it's a very interesting conundrum Mike Mitchell is faced with, a very difficult case he's going to have to crack. Detective Mike Mitchell then arrives at the natural conclusion that this had to have been a murder. The audience then gets to hear the thoughts of Detective Mike Mitchell, one of the greatest minds in all of detective history, putting Sherlock Holmes and L from Death Note to shame. Mike Mitchell thinks to himself, "No signs of distress, and no signs of a struggle apart from the one with gravity. The smile on his face, why? What happiness can be found in death? A minor abrasion on his L4, no doubt from the tumble down the stairs, but from my time in chiropractic school, I know there's no way that was fatal. Though the stairs are made of oak, the strongest wood available on the free market. Why oak?" Mike Mitchell immediately looks up to those kneeling around him, observing him. They seem to be waiting on his every word. Mike notices this and immediately shouts, "Someone fetch me the blueprints for this house right now." The audience confusedly looks around at each other before Dr. Zachariah Good Sensation scratches his neck nervously. Yes, Detective Mike Mitchell, right away," says Dr. Zachariah. Dr. Zachariah Good Sensation then rushes away from the crowd, and Detective Mike Mitchell returns his head towards the body of Shock Rockhard. He puts his ear to the deceased man's stomach, and the voiceover returns. His thorax is nearly shattered and his lips chapped. Circumstantial, possibly, but definitely indicative. But of what? I won't read all of the dialogue here, but Detective Mike Mitchell continues to thoroughly analyze the corpse before he begins to turn his attention to something else he noticed upon this inspection. Dear God, what is that smell? Detective Mike Mitchell then quickly stands up in disgust and covers his nose with his hand. But then he screams as he realizes his hand is covered in semen. Good Lord! It's clear to me now, everyone. This man is not only dead, but he has ejaculated as well. The crowd gasps in shock, and Tootie Rockhard is heard wailing even louder now. Mike Mitchell inspects his hand and starts to try and shake the cum off. Alessandra, the maid, walks up to Mike and wipes his hand with a paper towel. Thanks, hon. Glad you were here to get me out of that sticky situation. As you'll soon learn, Mike Mitchell is a wisecracking one-liner straight out of an old 80s movie. The maid giggles and rushes away to dispose of the paper towel. Mike Mitchell turns to face the crowd. They're all talking amongst themselves and turn their attention back to Mike to give their entire focus. So what's next, detective? If what you say is true and Daddy was indeed murdered, then one of us is at fault here. This was said by his daughter Vanessa Rockhard. Everyone looks uncomfortably at each other. Some individuals move apart and some awkwardly scratch their necks and take calculated sips from their champagne flutes. Detective Mike Mitchell then says that everyone needs to split up and look for clues. I'm going to go ahead and stop here, and I've brushed over a lot of the dialogue and a lot of the other context building all this up with the other characters. I just wanted to give you like the very core elements that happen to set up the events of the fucking at Rockhard Manor. So yeah, why was Shock Rockhard smiling upon his death, and why was he filled with so much cum in his trousers, so much so that it was leaking out into the hand of Detective Mike Mitchell? It truly is one of the best mysteries to ever be posed in fiction. And yeah, it's really about it. Just wanted to share a little from the porn script here. I know there was no sex at all in any of this right here, because that was like the hardest part for us to write, was putting sex in this story. We just focused on like the whole mystery narrative and coming up with good twists and turns and like an actual good world building, and putting sex in it was actually pretty difficult. So we did manage to fit it all in there in ways that make sense, but the main thing here is you will be watching this porn for the plot, because the narrative is a fucking banger, if it ever does get made, which I'm doubtful that it ever will now at this point. But either way, just wanted to share this with you. That's about it. So yeah. I've got a secret, and I'm not afraid to share it right now. Much like Bruce Wayne keeping his Batman identity a secret, I've got something that I've been keeping from you. And you're not going to believe me when I tell you this, but it is the truth. I used to be a virgin. Not only did I used to be a virgin, I used to be a turbo virgin who was extremely proud of the fact that he was a virgin. In my early college years, I used to brag about being a virgin to anyone that would listen. I was like those dudes that stand on corners with the sign saying the end is near, just talking about doomsday. I was that with virginity. And every day was virginity day for me. I made a video talking about this a little while back, about how I used to brag about being a virgin. I really went hard on that being a core part of my identity in my early college years. When I did talk to girls, I would treat it like I was on Shark Tank and I was pitching my virginity to them like a business that they should invest in. It was very sad and pathetic. But I figured I'd share a few more stories from this era of my life, this arc in the Charlie anime, because there's some real golden nuggets in there that I think maybe a few of you could learn from. Though I don't imagine too many of you watching this right now think virginity is cool or something worth bragging about all the time, unless of course you're trying to be a pastor or teaching abstinence at a high school or some shit as like a sex ed teacher. But anyway, I wanted to share a couple of these stories. So the first tale from the compendium of Charles White's virginity stories is actually one that I shared on a stream recently. It was my sophomore year of college, 2014. Five Nights at Freddy's is the hottest shit, just came out. We've never seen anything like that. Our assholes blown wide open by Five Nights at Freddy's. It was a dark and stormy night, and my roommate had a girl over. It wasn't anyone romantic. They weren't together. They weren't, anything at all. It was a friend of his from high school who came down to party at the university. I did not go to a party that night. I stayed in the dorm room watching cartoons. After the partying had ceased and everyone had their fun, my roommate went to bed, but she didn't. She sat on the couch and watched whatever cartoon I was watching at the time. I think I was watching Justice League or some shit, so she was wet. And she just started talking about how much fun she had at the party and eventually asked me why I didn't go with them. And I tried to play it cool. I said, I had better things to do. And if I had a cigar, I would have lit it in that moment right there and just blew a big fucking puff. I was really trying to be suave about it, but the reality is the reason I didn't go was because I wasn't invited. It was a very low-key party, and this was when I still wasn't super familiar with my roommates. They were probably afraid I'd crawl on top of one of the tables and start trying to lead like a virginity chant, like, raise your hands if you're a virgin. Oh, just me? Even better, something weird. So they didn't ask me to go, which is why I wasn't there. But anyway, of course, me being this virginity evangelist that wouldn't shut the fuck up about virginity, we talked more about some shit, I don't remember what, but of course, me being the mysterious anime loser virgin extraordinaire back then, I eventually steered our conversation into a talk of virginity. And I started telling her about, how great it is being a virgin and how, maybe I'll lose it soon if I'm really feeling like it, as if I had, a ton of options, like my fucking cell phone was full of applicants to take my virginity. And she said something that still rings in my ears sometimes when I'm trying to go to bed. After telling her all of this about my virginity and telling it with a real smile on my face, really fucking saying it with my chest like I am a virgin, she hit 19-year-old Charles with a giggle and a wow, that's so sad. And she thought I was kidding, so she started making jokes about it, and I insisted that no, I was being serious, and I was like, damn. On the inside, I was like, damn, that was brutal, that shit hurt, but she's not wrong. The more I say it out loud, the more I realize how sad it is. And then she goes on to say, I'll suck your dick if you want. And I went into a full fucking meltdown mode. It was like something out of Tom and Jerry when like the stars are going around when they're like knocked out. I was having like a fucking meltdown. And I eventually just went into like full Redditor mode. I was like, oh gee, whoa. No, madame, I could never ask such a thing of you. Absolutely not. I would not have that. I'd like my virginity to stay, thank you very much, you harpy, you succubus. So I stood my ground and declined the blowjob, which was a more than generous offer from her, might I add. She was just gonna take one for the team, a real champion. Like, what a great friend my roommate had. And honestly, I probably saved her life by declining that blowjob because I don't think she quite knew what she was dealing with and getting into. She was about to bite off more than she could chew. She was like Icarus flying way too close to the sun. If she did give me that blowjob, I would have blasted an unholy cum shot at an unreal velocity that probably would have pierced the back of her throat and gone out the other side. It would have looked like she got hit by a fucking sniper. My wiener had never even been accidentally touched by a human female. The closest thing my cock ever got to a girl touching it back during that time was when a girl accidentally hit me in the balls with her criminology book when we were standing up from the table in the classroom. So if she blew me, I would have busted a nut of biblical proportion, a dangerous nut. So really, I made a noble decision and saved her life by declining that. And I think that incident right there where she said it was so sad that she was just going to offer me a blowjob really put it in perspective how sad it really was. Because it was so sad that not only did she tell me to my face how sad it was, but she tried to offer like consolation, as if she was trying to console someone who was grieving. Pretty wild stuff. And I figured I'll share one more story because this one's just as embarrassing. Probably not as embarrassing, though. It's probably worse. Before my sophomore year of college, my high school had a reunion party at one of the girls' houses, and this is when I just started drinking, and I was getting after it. I was fucking hitting that alcohol real hard. And one thing that I talked about this in the previous bragging about virginity video, but one thing I used to do is I would get drunk and start bragging about my virginity in different accents. Well, I remember at this high school reunion party with all my old high school classmates, I reached that level of drunk where it was time that Irish Charlie come out and start talking about his virginity. So for the whole night that I can remember before total blackout, I was talking in an Irish accent about how great it is being a virgin and how everyone who had lost their virginity had just failed to reach enlightenment. I was the happiest one being a virgin, all in an Irish accent, of course. And then I do remember one of the girls kissed me and I pre-came down my leg. I don't know if it was like a pity kiss or something or like pent up feelings from high school, though I doubt it because I was a real fucking weirdo in high school. But I remember one of the girls kissing me and I pre-came down my leg. At least that's what I tell myself, that it was pre-cum. Honestly, it could have just been a full load that I blew down my leg. I really don't know. But I do know I wasn't invited to the follow-up high school reunion party the next year. So there's a very good chance that I might have just shit myself, honestly, down my leg. It could have been anything. It could have been any mystery fluid coming out of there. And couldn't tell you. But yeah, Just a couple more tales from this time where I thought bragging about being a virgin was cool. Again, the lesson to take away: bragging about virginity is a weird thing to do. So yeah, probably just avoid that. Don't do that. That's it. See ya. I'm often asked to tell stories about my days from college since I've told so many, mainly around how I was a fucking weirdo for like the first year and a half pretending to be a mysterious anime character and shit like that. But today I wanted to mix it up and hit you with a story from the academic side of my college experience. Now, I was a digital arts major for the first 2 years I was in college, and then I switched to human sciences and exercise physiology for my concentration. And the reason for that is because I just truly wasn't talented in the art field at all. And I knew that going into it. I wasn't disillusioned thinking I was actually talented at art, like some kind of sommelier with the crayons or anything. I'd always sucked asshole when it came to art. But I thought it'd be fun to at least try to do like some cartoon shit and animation in college because I'd always liked it. But it wasn't fun and I wasn't good at it. Half of my like actual physical art projects ended up looking like something Jackson Pollock would have made while overdosing on ketamine. My 3D animation shit was absolutely fucking terrible. That looked like a video game glitch. Like it was all really fucking terrible. Now unfortunately I don't have any of the 3D models I worked on back then anymore. I just don't have the files. But luckily my mother kept all of the actual physical art pieces that I've made, and honestly it should be a crime that she even kept them. They're so fucking bad. But I'd like to take you on a tour through them. So as you can probably guess, this is me. The resemblance is uncanny. This was my first self-portrait I did in the figure drawing course, and you can see just with each stroke of the pencil that I was able to just really capture a different beautiful aspect of my figure here. I mean, it's like looking in a mirror, honestly. I bet you're asking yourself right now, Charlie, did you get an F for cheating? Because you probably just took a picture of yourself and submitted it. It looks so good. And I gotta tell you, this was hand-drawn, if you can believe that. And trust me, that's just the tip of the iceberg. I only got better from there. Here's... I'm sure you can immediately tell who this is. It goes without saying, I don't even need to tell you who this is. This is my dad, as I'm sure you immediately guessed upon seeing it. You're like, oh, that's Charlie's dad. That's Mr. White. The pose I was able to really nail here. This was he was he was sitting in his chair, and I decided to capture the moment because I was like, wow, that's powerful, Dad. You're looking real profound right now, real sophisticated. Stay right there and let me draw you. Let me sketch you out. And this is how it came out. And he's like, wow, Charlie, why are we even sending you to college? You've already mastered the art. Wow. That's a good drawing right there. That'll go up on my Deviant Art if anyone needs any commissioned portraits. I'll indulge for the right price. And then of course we only keep going up from there. This one is the back of a skeleton, I guess. I think that's all that is. But that looks pretty good. You know, all things considered, a massive leap up from the other two, if I do say so myself. You can see the improvement. You can see me really starting. You can see me really starting to nail the vicissitudes of each different piece that I was capturing. And then here's me as a Pokemon trainer. There's me just, tossing ye old Pokeball, catching a Hitmonlee or a Scyther, any Pokemon Charlie likes. Buzzwole, perhaps? Yeah, so, we're getting real good here. The hands look a little fucked up, kind of like some claymation type shit. But other than that, I mean, that's about as good as she gets right there. That's pretty solid stuff. And then, of course, you can't just have, pencil, pen, and charcoal. You also have to have some painting, which I mastered. And I knew going into it I was going to be good at the painting. So here's the world, and there's another planet up there. So this looks pretty good if it was hung in a fourth grader's classroom. Pretty proud of this one, if I do say so myself. Looking back on it, it looks like there was room for improvement, but hey, you can't fault where my heart was here. This is something that would definitely be hung on the fridge to celebrate their 6-year-old's first painting. So, I mean, I don't remember what grade I got on it, but anything less than an A would be criminal. Wow. We still got more though. Don't worry. I can keep showing you some of these. I actually, unironically, did get kind of good towards the end of my figure drawing course. So, you're gonna accuse me of plagiarism. I already know it. You're gonna accuse me of stealing this from another student, but I assure you, I did actually draw this next piece. This was me looking at like an assortment of different things that the professor put on a table. And actually looks pretty fucking good. So I really did start to get the hang of it towards the end of the course, and then immediately switched majors, so I never touched it again or got any better. So this is like peak Charlie art. Like, this piece actually looks kind of fucking good. So actually happy with that one. And then I also did another decent one too. I believe this was the last piece before the end of that semester. And it was another like weird, goofy like crime scene that she set up, where it was like a head in a bowl on like a tablecloth thing. I really got the tablecloth nicely. Like, that tablecloth is looking beautiful. So I started to really nail this medium here. I think this is charcoal, right? So I really started to get the hang of that. And yeah, so that came out nice. But that's really peak of Charlie's art. Coming back down, we had some more stinky ones, unfortunately. Not super great here. I don't exactly know what this is, but you know, I made it. I guess this is like some kind of cosmic supernova happening up here, and I think that's me with Pokeballs for eyes and Tetris blocks for eyebrows, and Pac-Man for ears. I think these are Yu-Gi-Oh card backs, so I mean it meant something at the time, and I'm sure someone can derive some meaning from it. I don't remember what it was, but I'm sure at the time it was a real thought-provoking piece. Then of course I have this, which I think is just different kinds of corn. Maybe leaves, I'm not really sure. It's either corn or leaves. Either way, it's still, you know, pretty cool, I guess. You know, I mean, it's art, so, you know, sometimes it just takes a little digging deeper to find the meaning. Then there's this. Again, it's at some point in time I was able to explain why I made this, but that was many moons ago now, many years, so I don't know what it means anymore, but I'm sure someone out there just lost their mind over how good it looks. You know, and then I got some of these. Another confusing piece from the artistic stylings of Charles. It's like a Rorschach painting, kind of, where you're supposed to like find what you see in it to explain your emotions. So, I mean, these are all pretty good. You know, looking back on these, I was definitely better than I remembered, honestly. Like, I was actually kind of a prodigy. I have another one of these. Still, again, I don't know what it means. It's like in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, where Edward goes into that like zone with that like faceless thing, you know. But again, I just wanted to show you, you know, I was a pretty talented art student, all things considered, before I switched my majors. I bet the university still beats themselves up about it, letting me switch majors. They should have told me to stick with it. I could have been one of the biggest artists in the world, but you know, that's the way the cookie crumbles, I suppose. Yeah, I just wanted to show you some of my art pieces. I have a couple more stories from those art class days that I'll share in the future, but I thought this would be a fun one to start it with. So yeah, that's about it. So yeah. Last week I took you on a journey through the artistic genius of Charles White, the modern-day Da Vinci. I showed you some of my greatest pieces from my time as an art major in college. Of course, my crowning jewel, my magnum opus, being this portrait of my father that I created. When I first saw this, when I rediscovered this artifact here, this treasure, I actually didn't know it was my dad at first. I thought it was one of the models from the class I drew it in, which was figure drawing, where you had people come in, and I thought the model just happened to look like Jared Fogle from the Subway commercials. But the reason I knew this was my dad is because I recognized the chair he's sitting in, and I was like, wait, That's my fucking dad I drew, huh? And then, of course, all the similarities just started hitting me. It's a very abstract interpretation of my father, but to the keen eye, the trained eye, you'll immediately recognize it, I would say. Now, is this the single worst piece of art in history? Absolutely not. Is it the best piece of art in history? Yes. Yes, it is. I really love everything I was able to capture here. If I was to go back and redo this, the one thing I'd do is I'd get rid of the camel toe. My dad, he doesn't have like a visible camel toe or anything like that, but I hit him with some moose knuckles here, and he didn't deserve that. I didn't do it on purpose. It's just there were some folds in the pants I was noticing, I think, and I just accidentally reverted to like hentai techniques. So a bit of a miscalculation there. I also might want to have put some legs on the chair, because right now it looks like it's a floating chair, like he's fucking MODOK. But everything else is right on the money, I would say. I really like what I was able to do with his torso here. It kind of makes him look like a thwomp from Super Mario 64, just like a giant fucking block. He's not like this wide or anything, but I was playing with dimensions, of course. As an artist of my caliber, it's nice to distort reality a bit and play around with proportions, which is, of course, I was experimenting here with great success. I need to definitely get that framed and maybe find some candles to put around it to make it look like some kind of satanic ritual where like that's the deity we're worshiping or something. But it definitely needs to be like in an art museum or something, I would say. But anyway, this isn't about the actual art pieces. I wanted to tell another story from my days as an art major, because I hinted at a few tales from back then in the last video, and I figured I'd share one right away. This is one that I've only touched on briefly, like in the podcast and in the past. And I never bothered to finish the story because it's extremely embarrassing and I actually feel pretty shameful for it. But I figured it's 2021, baby. Shame's a thing of the past. So let's fucking get in here, raw and no rubber, and I'll just tell you it like it is. So I took a figure drawing course, which is where I drew that piece as well as many others, where it's basically drawing people and things that you see in person. And one component of this course was drawing nude models, the idea being that you capture the human anatomy like it is, and you just go in there and put that pencil to the paper and you let it all hang out there. No secrets among the art students, prolapse rectum and all from the model, it's going on the canvas. And it's that shit that you used to see in old movies where, you know, the protagonist would go into an art class and everyone's drawing a naked guy whose dick is flopping around. It was that, but I took the course in real life. I didn't know it at the time, so when I went in and saw a naked man posing in front of everyone, I was pretty shocked and caught off guard. I thought I had walked into like a Reality Kings porn shoot or something, but it turns out that was just a component of the semester, and it was pretty fucking weird and uncomfortable. It was a 3-hour session twice a week for this course, and the nude model we had was this guy who would strike a pose that we'd do our best to capture, and he would just listen to music after striking the pose, so he wasn't even putting his heart and soul into it. He'd just throw on the boner jams and transcend to the avatar state and leave this corporeal dimension, leaving us struggling art students behind in the fucking fallout barren wasteland of art, doing our best to capture his weird superhero pose. The position he chose was like the combination of Crimson Chin meets Goatsy. It was something kind of like this. So he came and he had hands on his hip, leaning forward like this, but he had a little stool in front of him so he could put his leg up, and he leaned forward a little bit, just so that way you could see a little bit of his butthole if you were unfortunately positioned behind him, which of course I was not directly behind him, so I didn't have like the full butthole spread action, but I had like tip of, like outer rim of anus plus some wrinkles, because I was still on like the back side, I didn't have front, so I saw, like, from my position, since his leg was up, I had a little bit of like cockhead dangling in front, like kind of like a sunset behind his ass cheeks, and then like asshole rim plus wrinkles. It was like a Banksy painting, like if he drew the beach and then like put some ass cheeks in front of it with the dick behind it, you know what I mean? It was a very uncomfortable situation to be in, and especially just to sit there and with like my little pencil measuring his asshole circumference, trying to make sure all my dimensions are right, because the professor was grading on like dimensional accuracy for like the figure drawing portions. Obviously these pieces here, she just wanted to gauge where we were at for the most part, but when it came to actually drawing what she had in front of us, she would pretty much evaluate us based on how close we were to capturing the dimensions. So everyone was like really going deep into capturing each segment. The technique she taught us was to look at everything like letters in the alphabet, like for example, a asshole would be kind of like a C from my position, because I wouldn't have the full circle, so it wouldn't be an O, it'd be just a C. So then I'd have to measure out the C on the paper, and not to get into like the rubric and the grading criteria, but just to explain that I had to sit there for 3 hours thoroughly analyzing the wrinkles and dimensions of a man's asshole, ass cheeks, and like cockhead, and it was just really uncomfortable for the most part. So after, I only did this for one course. After this, I went home, because I went to college not too far away from where my parents lived. I went home and I was like, look, you guys need to come up with an excuse, because I cannot sit in this course for the next 3 weeks drawing dick and asshole for a collective 6 hours a week. I just can't do it. So we eventually came up with the idea that we would use religion as my excuse. So I didn't want to like just not go to the course, because I didn't want to fail the course, because it was like a 3-week course. And by missing all of that, I would absolutely fail. So it would have been just a huge waste of money. So we used religion as like the scapegoat. So I had my parents send her an email, like acting all outraged, like, how could you have our son Charles drawing butthole in your course? This directly goes against our beliefs in the Lord and his teachings in the Ten Commandments in the Bible. This is absolutely unacceptable. Charles will not be attending the course, and we expect he will still get full credit, because we wouldn't have allowed him to take the course if it was disclosed beforehand that nude model drawing was a requirement. It sounded like something a fucking Scientologist would have written, except far more polite. They weren't like mean about it or anything. It was just using religion and the inability to see butthole and cock as an excuse to not go to the course for 3 weeks. And they sent it, and then she sent me an email and then talked to me saying, look, she understands. She apologized to me, but she didn't need to do. And she still gave me credit and told me just to sit out the 3 weeks and come back towards the end. So, yeah, I got out of drawing that by using religion, the ultimate excuse. It was a genius plan, to be honest, and I feel really bad about it. And the reason I've never told this is because I really am super embarrassed. I should have just toughed it out and drawn more dick and asshole, but 6 hours a week thoroughly measuring a guy's dick and balls and stuff, it just wasn't exactly what I had signed up for as an art student. It never even crossed my mind that would be one of the art curriculum, like part of the art curriculum. So I just kind of panicked. I was like, look, I just don't want to keep doing this. I really don't. I'm not trying to get into like furry porn art or anything. I just wanted to make some cartoons, not these kind of cartoons. I just wanted to get out. I felt trapped, and of course the only out was playing the religion card, and luckily my parents were on board to send that email, and I still got credit. I still passed the course, and yeah, that was that. So I still feel bad about it, like lying to her, because she was a super sweet professor and just a really nice person all around, but I just really didn't want to keep going to that course and doing that for 3 weeks. But if I do now have the tools to draw asshole if I'm ever in a situation that calls for it. Like, let's say I'm in a situation where a bomb is going to detonate and the only way to defuse it is by drawing the villain's butthole. I would be able to capture his brown balloon knot down to the millimeter and save the day. So it wasn't a huge waste of time or anything, but you know, I never finished the course, so maybe I wouldn't even be able to fully figure out how to capture a butthole. But I feel like one course was probably plenty. But anyway, that's about it. See ya. It's been a little while since the last time I sat you down at the fireplace with my bathrobe slightly ajar to tell you an embarrassing story from the period in my life where I've LARPed as a fucking mysterious anime character. This was around the time I was like 18, 19 years old, so like freshman, early sophomore year of college, and I've told many a pathetic story from this sad compendium of miserable social ineptitude, and there's one I haven't shared with you that I thought I'd share today. This was actually the first date I ever went on, like first official date. I'll just give you a brief lore update for those that haven't seen any of the other videos. Back in early college years, I thought it'd be great to reinvent myself as a mysterious anime character in real life. It worked for the anime characters. Girls were always trying to constantly like gobble on their meat. And so I thought, well, if it worked for them, it could work for me. So I wanted to be like super unique. I wanted to wear a chain with my favorite video game disc on it, Psychonauts. So just be like a fucking chain with Psychonauts on it. I also refused to talk to people. So if people talked to me or asked me questions, I'd respond with like moans and grunts instead of words. And it was really goofy shit. Like talking to me would be like talking to an NPC in Banjo-Kazooie where they just respond with that's how I would pretty much respond to shit, or just complete silence. I have no doubt A lot of people on campus probably reported me to authorities as a potential threat to the university in those early year and a half, however long I spent doing that. But I eventually grew out of it. But during this time, I actually did get a date. My first real official date. Now, while this was my first date, it wasn't like I was a completely kissless virgin. I was a virgin who had been kissed once. It was a dare. A girl was once dared to kiss me because that was seen as such a punishment that in a truth or dare game, they made it a dare to kiss me. And I was like, fuck yeah, this is my time to shine. Probably pre-came and shit my pants at the same time. But anyway, I managed to get this date because a friend of mine from high school actually invited me to a party. We hadn't seen each other in quite some time, and they invited me out to go drink with them. At the time, I was completely straight edge. I didn't want to touch drugs. I didn't want to touch beer. I also wasn't even sure I ever wanted to lose my virginity. I was starting to think it might even be best if I didn't. But they invited me to this party, and I was still in this mysterious anime phase, and he invited me to play beer pong with him, and I was like, well, as long as I don't drink. And he's like, fuck it, Charlie, I'll just drink for you. Just fucking play with me. And I was like, sure, let's go. So we were playing, and then eventually his friends called him to do like a keg stand or something, so I needed a partner, and a girl hopped in to play with me. And I didn't say a fucking word to her. And I guess that must have been cool enough because she started talking to me, and then I eventually like mumbled out like, do you want to go to the beach? And she said yes. She gave me her number, and we set up a beach date for the next day. And my God, I don't even think I slept that night. I remember that night after the party, I went back to the dorm and I was just busting out hundreds of crunches and like bicycle crunches and shit, trying to sculpt out my abs speedrun style. I didn't eat. I only drank a ton of water, just trying desperately to get my six-pack to pop out a bit more. I was a lot leaner back then because all I focused on was being like ripped, but my arms were super skinny, so I just kind of looked like an actual poorly drawn anime character physique-wise. Nowadays, I'm just actually fucking jacked. But back then, I was like, all I need is abs, and girls will want to fuck me real good. So I'm in my dorm for hours just fucking doing an impromptu P90X routine till the sun comes up. And I text her, she doesn't respond, I start to panic, I texted her again, still didn't respond, I'm fucking freaking out, I'm like, oh my God, I've ruined it, I fucking blew it, holy shit, it's all over, she hates me, she probably reported me to the police because I was creepy, oh my fucking God. I text her again, I fucking triple texted her, literally the worst possible thing you could do. She finally responds just saying she was sleeping, and then I realized that that's probably about par for the course because it was like 9 a.m. I was like, it's fucking like Saturday, and I'm texting her at 9 a.m. like 1,000 times. It stands to reason that she might just be sleeping in. Fucking having a manic episode in the text messages there at 9 a.m. and then she still agrees to meet with me. She's like, yeah, we're still down for the beach, let's go. So we meet at my car. I play my boner jams, which was a real risk for me because the music I listened to then and the music I still listen to now isn't really popular. It's mainly like metal and shit like that. And luckily she likes that music. In fact, she even knew some of the bands like Cybreed. She likes Cybreed, which is still my favorite band right now. So that was cool, but I'd never done small talk or anything. So I didn't know how that was supposed to go. And I think she was picking up on that, so she took the initiative to talk to me. So she asked me, hey, did you have fun at the party last night? I said, nope. Which is a great response because, I mean, that's super cool. Like, hey, this guy is so goddamn badass. He didn't have any fun last night. But I do remember saying the only cool thing about the party was meeting you. I was like, that's kind of suave. So I hit her with that bit of smooth ass cheeks right there, to which she didn't really say anything. At least I don't remember her saying anything. Maybe she had just gotten completely sodden panties and, that's probably what happened. But she continues, standard stuff. What's your major? At the time it was digital arts. This was before I switched. Do you like digital arts? It sounds cool. What is that? And I was like, I fucking hate it. It's just making 3D animations. It sucks. So I'm just constantly doing my best to ruin any kind of positivity. That whole car ride was basically like condensed pessimism on wheels. And so she just keeps asking me these questions to which I'm giving like the worst responses to imaginable, convinced like the anime characters I've seen before that being different or being negative is cool to women, which it's definitely not. But she eventually gets to the dagger. What do you do? Like, she probably assumed I had like a job or something because she did. So she's like, well, what do you do for work? What do you do? And I was like, can't get into that. It's a secret. Which obviously piqued her interest because, like, what the fuck does that mean? Am I like a CIA spy? Am I a hitman? An assassin? Like, what the fuck is that? She's like, well, what do you mean it's a secret? It's like, I just can't get into that. I can't talk about it. So she keeps poking the sleeping bear. She's like, well, what do you mean? What do you do? Like, it's kind of weird. Like, what do you do? And eventually I'm like, I make videos on the internet. Keep in mind, this is 2013. The idea of being a YouTuber was a foreign concept back then. I'd also never told anyone about this. I never said out loud that I made videos online. I always kept that like my biggest top secret. I never ever talked about it, but in this instance, I was fucking desperate. I was pulling out all the stops. I was emptying my pockets of all the possible fucking spaghetti I could fill on the floor, vomiting anything that might help my chances of getting me laid. I would have told her I was Santa Claus if I thought it would help my chances of getting my cock wet. I was just going all out. Just this once. Just trying. So I told her I make videos on the internet, and she laughed at me, which just felt phenomenal. She thought I was just kidding because I had hyped it up so much to that grand wet fart of a reveal. She was probably just relieved more than anything because she probably thought I was a psychopath with the way I was answering, but I dropped that nugget of truth on her, and at the time, like I said, this wasn't really anything anyone talked about. Like, YouTuber wasn't a thing back then. Most of the most popular shit was like Facebook pages that people knew. And when it came to YouTubers, most people only knew like the biggest ones. The big one back then that I remember most people talking about was Epic Mealtime. And I also remember even things like I'm Schmacked were kind of big back then. But other than that, there wasn't a ton else that college students would think of when they hear of internet content creator YouTuber. So she didn't really find that all that impressive, and I've never treated it like a job or anything, but I just thought it was going to be a good answer to that question, one that she probably hadn't heard before, and she probably never did hear it before because she just straight laughed at it, which it didn't make me feel like my chances were being helped. She thought that I was just making like a joke out of it because I just made it like this hyped up thing, like, no, it's a big secret. It's a fucking government secret. I'm not allowed to say it. If I say it, the government's gonna come fucking kill me. And then I just reveal like I make fucking gameplay and commentary videos on YouTube. So she giggled at that, and then she asked what the channel was, so I showed it to her when we parked. I brought up the channel, and at the time, the channel video that would autoplay was my titty simulator game, which of course was a kind of weird look, so I bring that up. At the time I had like 800,000 subscribers, which is a fucking ton, and she was impressed by the number, but the content itself I don't think she was too fond of, because it was titty simulator, with me talking about fucking honkin' milkers being dragged around by their nipple, and then some of the other related ones were other weird games like don't shit your pants and things. So she didn't really want to stay on the channel that long, but she said congratulations to me, and I was like, oh, okay, it didn't really work very well, now did it? So we finally arrive at the beach. Confidence is shot. I can tell that this mysterious anime character facade's not doing me any favors. So we end up just going to like a pretty crowded area on the beach at Clearwater, and just laying down, and she played music with her earbuds in. And I just kind of laid there, pretending like this was productive. Like, yeah, I'd always wanted a tan. I'll just fucking lay here with my ass cheeks hanging out, I guess. Why not? And just fucking sit there doing nothing while she's listening to music at the beach. At the end of it, I just kind of felt like I was an Uber driver who stayed a little too long. Like, she requested a ride, but then I had nothing else to do, so I also just went to the same destination. So we just kind of stayed there for like an hour, and then she's like, all right, I'm ready to head back. I'm kind of hungry. I didn't even bother asking if she wanted to get food with me, because I could already just pick up on the vibe here that it wasn't really going anywhere. So we go back, and then she hugged me, and I was like, fuck, it was all worth it. I got a hug. Let's go. Woo! So I got a hug out of it, which means I was a champion that day, but we never talked again, surprisingly. And that's how my first date went. So overall, pretty successful. Got off to a great start, really, in the whole romance world. And yeah, I just wanted to share that with you. I also think it's a pretty interesting look at how things have changed recently, because back then, YouTuber wasn't even a word in anyone's vernacular. No one had ever really like heard of that before. It wasn't really an explored concept, just kind of like this emerging hobby that some people would pick up on. But nowadays, I think it's like 60% of kids want to grow up to be like a YouTuber or internet creator, which is wild. So in less than a decade, it has completely changed. But back then, yeah, that shit was not looked at too positively. But anyway, I just wanted to share this story because I haven't done this one before, and I thought it was worth sharing. That's about it. See ya. Today I wanted to tell a story I recently told on stream about the time I got scammed for all of the money I had at the time. I must have been 18, maybe 19. I was definitely still a virgin when this happened. Not that that's pertinent to the story, but just a little bit of lore there, a little side note. and my friend Andrew had come to visit me so we could party at my university. But unfortunately, when he came up, there were no parties, and if there were, we certainly weren't invited. The lacrosse bros did not want the gamer nerds coming in. So I've got my buddy Andrew over, and he's just eating fucking Reese's cups as we're doing nothing except playing like Tekken Tag Tournament 2. And then eventually we decided to find something else to do, and we found a carnival that had rolled into town. It was like one of those pop-up shop carnivals where they transport everything in on like a dilapidated school bus. So they scooted in and they set up shop nearby and were like, well, fuck it, we're not doing anything else. Let's go to this carnival. And I swear to God, when we got there, it looked like something out of Courage the Cowardly Dog. This place looked haunted. And we were basically like the only customers there. There was like a few children, or at least the spirits of children that were there, like hanging out, and they were riding the only ride at this carnival, which was one of those spinning rides, but it was like this giant horrifying metal contraption that just looked like a medieval torture device. It looked like a fucking transformer that had gotten hit with a stick of dynamite. It looked so rusted and gross. I have no doubt that was just a tetanus disaster waiting to happen. I don't even know if those kids are even alive anymore if they rode that fucking thing. But that's about all they had. They had that one ride and then a ton of shady carnival games. Not like the fun, goofy ones that you can actually win, you know, like the basketball one or shooting water into a target. They had only the rigged ones that you can't win under any circumstances. So this was less of a carnival that came in and more of just like a rolling scam that travels. But of course, I'm 18, 19 years old at the time. I'm a virgin, so all I'm really thinking about is titties and how I'm not seeing them. So, you know, I kind of disregard that, and I'm going around with Andrew, and we're playing a few of the games. Of course, we're not winning anything, not even like those tiny stuffed animals. We're getting nothing. The closest thing we're getting to a prize is stepping on a used condom in the parking lot. Like, there's just really nothing that we're accomplishing. We're just wasting money and wasting time. To reiterate the location, it was literally in a parking lot in between two condemned buildings. That was the location. This fucking barren wasteland looked like something out of the Fallout universe. It would have been less gross to just wander through catacombs, because at least then we wouldn't have been losing money doing it. But I came to this with like $200 in my wallet or something like that, and we were playing through these games, not winning, and I'd gone down like 50 or 60 bucks. I don't remember exactly what, but it was a lot. Like, we were spending a lot of time just indulging in this filthy sin. Now, before I get to like the actual meat here of when I lost all my money and how this all happened, I want to drive home a point. I'm not exactly like a super gullible person, I don't think. I like to imagine like I'm a grizzly, chiseled man with hair on my sack, because as an avid RuneScape player, I know how to recognize a scam. I started playing RuneScape in 2005, and I got used like a fleshlight on that game. I was falling for a lot of scams. I once gave my fucking password away to a guy who said that he didn't think my password was cool. So to prove him wrong, I just gave him my password in order to impress him. And then I lost my account to him. Like, I was scammed a lot. And it was an invaluable lesson it taught me. When someone's trying to take advantage of me, how to recognize a scammer, and just like all of these red flags that should go off in people's heads when they're faced with a scam. I think every child should be scammed at some point. Teach them a valuable lesson. They don't need to lose their house or anything, or like get wrapped up with a crypto gambling scam or whatever, but maybe just like a small scale scam for candy. Teach them a little something. That I always believed that the lessons I learned in RuneScape through getting scammed would be very helpful, and so far they have been, but on that day, nothing could have prepared me for the scam that I was going to encounter at that godforsaken carnival. The game was the toss a ball off a backboard, make it land in a bucket, and you win one of the jumbo prizes, like the fucking wumbo-sized unicorns and bears and shit. So for those that don't know, the game is a wooden backboard, it's a big circle, and it's at an angle. It's slanted this way. Underneath it is a basket that's poking out just enough for a ball to bounce off the backboard and fall in the basket. And you only have to do it one time and you win the biggest prize. So this carnival's not very big, obviously. Andrew and I had passed this a few times, and it wasn't like there was some heavenly glow on it, like, this is the game for me, this is the one I want to play. But as we passed it for like the third or fourth time, the dude finally calls over. He's like, you guys are just wandering around, come over here, let's just like talk and hang out. And we weren't doing anything, so we'll come flirt with this guy, whatever. And he's just so charismatic. We're just talking, shooting the shit. I think he brought up sports, and at the time I was like a sports fan, so we talked a little bit. And then he just started talking about his game. He's like, if you guys want to play, you can just like play this game. It's $5 for 3 throws. You know, might as well, and we'll just keep talking. I was like, that's a good deal. $5, 3 throws, and it looks really easy. And he's like, well, I don't want you to think that this is like rigged or anything. I want to show you that this can be done because, you know, he must have seen us losing. So he demonstrated that it could be done. So he walks up. He's like a little off to the side of where I'm standing, where I have to stand to shoot. And he bounces it off the backboard, first try, right in the bucket. He's like, yeah, I can do this all day. Picks up the ball, does it again, picks up the ball, does it again. He does it like 3 times in a row, and it's like, okay, this game looks really easy. So then he hands me the balls. It's an absolute disaster. I'm sticking my dick in my own ass. I can't get a single ball even close to the bucket, no matter how lightly I throw it or where I'm hitting the backboard. For some reason, it's like it's being shot out of a cannon once it hits that backboard. And it's not making any sense to me because I'm doing like the exact same thing he is. I'm putting a little spin on it. It's just not getting the job done. Nothing's working. And then he hits me with this proposition. For $10, I'll give you 10 throws and I'll give you your money back from this round and the previous round and still give you the big prize. I was like, what in tarnation? This is the nicest guy on earth. What a great deal. 10 throws, $10, and I get all of my money back plus the big prize? What am I waiting for? I'm fucking losing money not playing right now. How am I going to say no to this? That right there is a huge red flag. I didn't know this until well after the fact, but this is a well-known carnival scam. When they start saying you could win your money back, they're doing that because they know you can't. The game is rigged. He shows me again, he's like, hey, let me just make sure you know that you can do this. Just do it just like this. So then he just makes it 5 more times right in front of me. Like, he just shows that it is very easily achievable. Hands me the balls, I go through all 10 balls, nothing even close. Like, sometimes you can get it to bounce off the backboard and hit the basket inside, but the ball's so light that it bounces right out, like every single time. So now I'm $15 in the shitter and I'm feeling really bad. Andrew's trying to be like the guardian angel on my shoulder, like, Charlie, let's just go ahead and leave. You're not going to make this. It's clearly too difficult and there's some trick to it you don't know. And I took that as a challenge. I'm like, excuse me, motherfucker, what did you say to me? You say I can't do this? Sign me up for another round, let's ride. And it's the same deal. He doubled the price again, so $20 for 10 balls, but I can win my money back. So for $20, I can win my $15 back, and then I'm back where I started, and everything's good, and I get the big prize. So again, I go through all 10 balls, nothing. Nothing at all. Now, this is a lot of money. Again, this was $200. That's everything I had in my wallet. That's everything I had at the time for spendable cash. So this is a lot of money that I am juggling around here. We didn't go to the carnival with the intent to spend a lot, but just getting wrapped up in boredom and just like the will to not keep being a loser at the carnival just kept me spending. So after the $20, I'm like, Jesus Christ, what is going on? You know, it's definitely a me problem. I've seen this fucking guy do it, 10 times now. Now let me paint a picture of the guy for you, because it's not like he was some kind of athlete where it's like, oh, this guy, he probably plays in the NBA, he's just got real talent. No, this guy had a body like a bag of hot dogs. Like, he is not some guru of backboard bouncing or anything. So clearly, if he can do it, I should also be able to do it. Anyone should be able to do it. So he demonstrates it's possible again. He's like, bro, look, I really hate to see you lose this much money. I'm not going to double the price this time. Look, just give me another $20. I'll give you 10 more throws, and you can win all your money back, and I'll still give you the prize. I'm like, thank you for being such a nice guy. Damn near wanted to lean over and pat him on the ass. I was like, man, this guy, what a saint. So I give him another $20, and I do my 10 throws, and you know how the story goes. It doesn't go in. None of them go in. They're not even close. So at this point now, what am I, $55, $60 down almost? And it's been like half an hour of just this. Andrew's sitting there watching this whole train wreck happen. And it's not getting any better. The guy's gone from charming to full-blown scam mode. He like completely drops the facade of being nice. After like the second time I did $20 for 10 throws, he's like, yep, you want to do 20 more? You can win your money back. You probably want that money back. So he starts guilting me into it, and I'm like, he's right. I need that money back. So I give him another $20. I go through the balls. It's not even close. I lose again, and I'm sweating. I am sweating so fucking hard. Andrew is begging me not to keep playing the game, but I'm seeing red now, and I can't stop. I have to. So I do 20 again for another 10 throws to try and win my money back. I don't do it. I fail again. This fucking, like, this guy is still just prodding, still trying to squeeze every cent out of me. I'm just this dude's little dirty cum rag that he's wringing out and getting some money from. So we continue for another, like, 15, 20 minutes or however long it was. It felt like an eternity, and I'm down to my last $20 in my wallet. And, I'm praying, fucking give that $20 a kiss, and I spend it. I rolled the dice, I went for it one more time, and I don't win. I'm now completely out of money. I tell him that, and I start to just ask if he could just give me some of it back. I'm desperate. I wanted some of it back. I needed some of it back. And he's like, bro, I just can't do that. My boss would be really mad at me if I let that happen. But look, there's an ATM over, like, it was like a couple blocks away. He told me the location. He's like, just go to the ATM, get some more money, come back, and I will absolutely show you the perfect tricks. You're just not getting the technique right, and I'll show you what you're doing wrong. So this piece of shit tried to get me to go to an ATM to get more money out to keep playing his game, which was rigged. There was no way to win from the start. I'm shocked he didn't try and get me to sign some kind of contract with blood, this fucking demon. And I strongly considered it. I did, because that's a lot of money. It was like $140 that I spent on that game. $200 in total at that fucking carnival, but on that game in particular, there was $140 right in the goddamn toilet, right into that stinky dumpster. And I needed that back. Like, I really wanted that back. But Andrew talked me out of actually going to get more money from the ATM, like from savings or something. And I didn't go back. I ate the loss. That, to date, is one of like the most shameful moments / scams of my life. Now, it wasn't until way after the fact, in fact, even on stream is where I learned how he was actually able to do it. I thought that I remembered on one of those shows that bust carnival games that are rigged. I thought the reason he was able to make it and I wasn't was the angle he was able to throw from. He was able to throw much closer than I was. In this game, there is a line that you have to throw behind. There is like a little barrier that you have to throw from behind that in order to participate. And I thought that was the key. He was closer than I was, and that's how he was able to ricochet it off every time into the basket. But it's actually deeper than that. That does play a role, but he actually used a heavier ball. He didn't use the exact same balls that he gave me. His ball was weighted more, so when it bounced off the backboard, it didn't fly as far. So he was able to get it off the backboard into the basket and have it stay in the basket. And that's why mine couldn't do it. It was something I never noticed at the time, that he wasn't using the same balls he was giving me. He had a heavier one, or a heavier set to use. So even if I went and somehow found $1,000 to put into that game that night, I would have never had a chance of winning my money back, despite this guy showing me how it was done and promising me that if I just made one single ball in that bucket, I'd get all my money back and all the problems would be solved. I still absolutely despise that guy. I hold a grudge on that shit. It takes a lot to scam someone right to their face, especially like an 18-year-old college student who is telling you how much the money means to him, and for you to knowingly keep misleading them and make them believe they can win it back and that you're a good guy. Like, you're a giant piece of shit. Besides the obvious lesson I learned from this experience, I also learned how to fuck them in the ass. The games that aren't rigged, I mastered. I decided I wanted to win all their big prizes because fuck them. I'm able to win their biggest prizes on my first try, and I just give those prizes away to people at the carnival so I never feel scammed again. It's definitely petty, but it's a little bit of revenge for what the carnival took from me on that night. So, I posted this video a few years ago, and it's showing me winning like the basketball game and the beer bottle game for the giant prizes. Both of these games are also rigged in favor of the carnival, but I was able to master the way of doing them. So the basketball game, the rim is an oval instead of a circle, so you have to have an absolutely perfect high arcing shot in order for it to make it. And for the beer bottle game, you have to lean at the right time and the right like distance lean, and you can stand it up every time. So I master these games, I get the big prizes, and I give that shit away. Just that way they lose a little bit of money on those prizes, a little bit of pettiness from Charlie. I'm like the fucking Batman of carnivals. So yeah, anyway, I just wanted to share this story. Maybe it'll be like educational for someone out there, but at the end of the day, I just thought it was a fun story. I'm over it now. I still don't like the guy who did that to me, but yeah, I just thought it was worth sharing. That's about it. See ya.